want to welcome you out to this week's Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Rick Vossen. With me today is Bill Melton. Bill represents Bay County, or Bay Area officials. Bill, we want to thank you for coming out.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, we're going to talk a little baseball as we usually do, but it might be a little bit different program today. Bill, you've been officiating for how long?
About 15 years. 15
years. I know this. You've been around high school baseball for how many years?
Same amount of time, 15 years.
Good. Well, what have we seen happening in the last 15 years for officiating in that?
Well, there's been actually the officiating in the area has become better, but overall the officials have become more in tune with what's going on. But there is a shortage of officials. We don't have as many as what we have in the past because it is an actual job or a part-time job.
Right.
You know, a lot of people, they don't know you have to stay with it a while to become better at it.
Correct. Well, I know I've got a chance to kind of watch all you guys as I hosted the tournaments, and I always was very excited because even on them 10-year-old tournaments we had high school level officials out there, which really made it different. Now, were we as competitive as can be? We were pretty competitive, but the neat thing is we had the quality of the officials out there to make sure that game flowed and went very smoothly.
Yeah.
So, and also at that time too, we were doing high school rules. So.
Yes.
Yeah. What I noticed you talked about a need for officiating out there, and I know for a long time we had a lot of age in the industry. Are we getting many young kids into the industry?
Well, we've developed an actual mentor program where we've been trying to get more kids into the actual industry, and I think if you look at the officials that are coming up, those are your better officials. Those are the officials that come up and become your better officials, the actual kids that have played baseball, because they know the game and they know what's around it, and they know the gray area. It's not black and white. They know every point of the game. So the youngsters do make a big difference now. As far as the numbers, no, we haven't been getting the numbers that we need. We'd like to try to get more youngsters because I think in the long run they are the future of baseball and umpiring.
Right, and how true that is. I mean, you've got to always build that passion within that younger crowd to be able to handle off the mantle, the baton, or the bat, or whatever we wanted, or the gear, as we would say. But that is always a challenge. And I've noticed too through the years we've had a few of our ball players that are continually playing at a high school level that have did some officiating. And we talked about one of the young men earlier, Nate Starr, and if I'm not mistaken, Nate's kind of been around officiating since he was around 13-ish or something like that. I don't know how young it was, but he was very, very young.
He's an exception. Nate is an exception. He's been around since he was about 12 years old when he started, and he's really come a long way in that time. He's probably one of the best. When you look at him when he's on the field, he's one of the best umpires that there are. And I'd love to have 10 or 12 of him.
Well, again, I guess he's probably, what is he, about 24, 25 now?
He's 22.
22, so almost half of his life has been officiating.
Yes.
Boy, he's got a bright, long career there. And when we talk about officials, we've had some great officials out of this area and in this area, and we've had some officials that Coach Doug Lee, Doug used to call Division I baseball. I think he called the Seminoles a little bit, right?
Yes, and he's back in calling again. He's calling Division I again. He's back with the ACC. He does, a good job. And he's a good teacher, all in all. He knows the game. He knew it coaching the game,
right?
And he knows it in umpiring. So he's an excellent umpire.
Well, we'll follow up with that point. I want to remind you again, you are watching Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Rick Vossen, and we're at a Bay Awards Engraving, located downtown Panama City, and we just want to welcome everyone that's viewing the show right now and take advantage of the many awards, engravings, and recognitions, trophies that are available at Bay Awards Engraving, and come on out and see what we've got. I know many of you have been using them for a long time. I used to love to use the medals here. I just got into medals for a long time. I had fond memories of medals back when I was a kid, and we get so many trophies, and all of a sudden I thought, well, we'd switch and get some medals, and they always did a great job with that. So we want to thank them for making it possible on the Coach's Corner. Back to Coach Lee, I would think his knowledge and the level that he's called at probably does give a lot of benefit for the young guys, or even some of the older guys that have just jumped into the industry, because I've got to believe there's a few of them too that have came in the industry, and what an asset it is to have a Coach Lee around.
Well, yes, it is. It's really hard to say how much he has improved baseball in the area, and as a coach and as an official. He's really done a whole lot for baseball. I would, as far as officiating, as far as a mentor, he's probably one of the best. He gives out good, solid information because he's constantly learning himself,
right.
And that's officiating. And in officiating, you're going to learn constantly. It's not something that you become perfect at, or that you can perfect, I should say, and then just stay there. Because the game is always changing, so the officials have to always change.
Well, as funny as it is, I know one year I went out and took my test for high school officiating, and I've been around baseball for a couple years and that. And those questions, Bill, where do they come up with them things? I mean, it looked like there was about 3 answers, and I'm trying to analyze and read into it, and it was a tough test.
Well, that's part of the test. They want you to analyze and read into it so you can miss the question, because you have a 50-50 shot in a true-false answer. So they make the test so you'll sit there and think about it and analyze it and miss the answer instead of just reading the question and answering the question. And that's why the test is set up the way it is. It's a little trick.
Well, I kind of felt going in that, this is going to be a breeze. There was no breeze about it. In fact, I was a little embarrassed. Hey, now what do we have? Levels of certification for officiating?
Not really. Most officials, they start out in recreational ball, and this is most. You do have pro schools, which that's something that all officials should strive to attend, or one of the pro schools, Wendelstedt or
right.
Jim Evans. They're excellent as far as teaching mechanics and the actual basics of baseball, and you can't get any better schooling. Then there's other camps that you can go to, so it's a continuing educational type deal. But then you would go into recreation, then high school, from high school into college baseball, JUCO, which the JUCO around this area, as you know, is probably some of the most competitive in the country.
Right.
So it's from that point you would start moving into actual conferences, Division I conferences and Division II conferences.
Well, good. I know that we've got a great staff out here, a great quality of officiating, and a lot of maturity that's come out. And of course, you always see a couple faces that all of a sudden disappear, and then all of a sudden a couple years come back. So we're going to follow up and discuss a little bit more of that in the later segment. Again, this is Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Rick Vossen, and with me from the Bay Area officials is Bill Melton. Bill's one of our talents out on the ball field calling the game. See you shortly.